Yay, let's get going. um, to kick us off, please join me in welcoming Dr. Vanessa Kerry, Director General Special Envoy for Climate and Health, World Health Organization. Vanessa.
Hi.
How are you?
Loud.
My questions are right here. Vanessa, thank you for being with us today. It's really, interesting you come to this role after 20 years being focused on closing equity gaps in healthcare systems all over the world, and now you're in this first. It's the first time there is this envoy at the nexus of climate and health, which is a very good sign that we're starting to get it. But I'm interested in hearing from you. What's the most compelling part of this role? How does it all work?
First, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to all of you who are on the front lines of solving huge problems in the world, because that is ultimately what we are facing right now. And I think that is what has been exciting to be appointed this first ever Special Envoy for Climate Change and Health, because it really speaks to the recognition of the fact that the climate crisis is a health crisis. And the way that we are experiencing so much of the impacts of climate change is on our human health, whether it is directly through communicable diseases, whether it is through extreme weather events, extreme heat that is ruining our productivity, our ability to go to work, our ability to breathe, or it's indirectly, our mental health and wellness, migration, economics, and all these ways that it's hitting us. And so having the opportunity to play this role, I think that it allows us, or hopefully can help contribute to making a realization that the status quo is not working. The way we've been approaching health, the way we've been approaching our well-being, the way we've been approaching our general survival on this earth and how we're in relationship is not working. And so my hope is that we can use this to really demonstrate not only that the climate crisis is a health crisis, not only that we should not be measuring our progress just in degrees Celsius, but in actual lives saved, but to really position health as fundamental to our survival, to our well-being, and to everything that we're trying to achieve, because we're fundamentally talking about our human existence and our future. And that, I think, is the possibility of this. And it really speaks to, I think, the importance of health within this whole conversation.
Right, yeah. The planet is going to be fine without us. It's the humans on it that might not make it. And I've heard you say, and you just said it, health is the human experience of climate change. And you've mentioned, it's women, it's migrants, it's those communities that have contributed the least to climate, who are most vulnerable. I saw recently that women are 14 times more likely to suffer from the effects of climate change, not because of anything biological, but just because of the marginalization. And I'm curious to hear, if you can share a story from the front line about how those two things collide and how you've seen it play out in the communities where you do your work.
No, without question. The climate and health crisis is a personal, very human crisis. And I'll give an example from Malawi, where SEED has worked for over a decade now. So Malawi has been hit by Malawi is based in southern Africa, for those of you that don't know. It's a small country that ranks anywhere from the 6th to the 12th poorest country in the world. And it has been besieged by tropical storms that have been more intense, lasted longer, brought more rainfall, more turbulent weather, and more impact in the country. And so Cyclone Freddie, when it hit Malawi in the last couple of years, 1,000 people died, and over 500,000 people were directly impacted by the storm. It washed out bridges, it destroyed water sources, it ruined people's homes, houses, roads, access to care, access to food. And so in one district, the bridges were washed out, and it meant that the referral chain for pregnant women got broken down, literally because of the lack of infrastructure. And so a nurse midwife named Chansey Banda realized that if you're pregnant, births don't stop just because there's a tropical storm. High-risk pregnancies don't become low risk just because there's a tropical storm. And so she went to her local district office. She advocated for the fact that they had to open or make one of the district hospitals available for comprehensive and complex obstetrical care to save women and children's lives even in the wake of this. In fact, it turns out you're at higher risk of having a preterm or at-risk birth in the wake of a stress or a storm or something like that. And so the district then came to SEED and asked us to help partner with them to stand up an entirely new comprehensive obstetrical care unit, which meant that we moved a comprehensive team of nurses, midwives, obstetricians, and anesthetists to be able to increase the access to C-section. We put in equipment. We built a whole new facility. And so while the bridges and the roads were getting built to the original facilities, women were able to be referred to this new facility that got stood up, was well-staffed, and really all on the resilience of a healthcare worker that was able to identify the problem and triage what needed to happen. And not one woman or child died who delivered at that new center as a result of the ability to provide those services. And I think that what it speaks to is that we need that resilience. We need those strong health systems. And most importantly, we need a health workforce because they are on the front lines of responding to COVID, to Ebola, to cholera, to climate change, to the mental health crises. We have to be investing in this extraordinary moment with humanity, with humans who reach humans and are able to deliver that care.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that I really like about that example is that it's centered in the community and in people in the community who are the best, place to understand the problem and then figure out what is the best solution for it. And maybe since you've spoken about your seed work and knowing how many innovators, are in this room, and this plenary being about pushing for progress in difficult time, WHO has had a busy 4 years responding to the coronavirus. And do you see potential for some of the lessons and capabilities that were built during that fight?
Without question, COVID was a canary in the coal mine for this moment that we're in today and what we face from the impacts of climate change and health and the amount of, I think, what is coming down the pipeline. And what we learned in COVID was that, one, vulnerable communities were made more vulnerable and were left behind. We learned, two, that we do not prioritize our health and our well-being as a central function of our society, our economics, or our politics, or what we need for stable society and stable communities. And third, we have failed to really finally mount the investments in strong health systems and the workforce that fronts them. And if you start on the last point, the failure of us, we've poured billions of dollars into solving health challenges, but we've done it piecemeal, by disease, very siloed. My fund does this, your fund does this. Let's hit a silver bullet and just deliver a fast and easy answer. That's not going to be fast and easy, because as we found out in COVID, over 90% of countries actually had disruptions in clinical services and health delivery services during COVID because the health system wasn't strong enough to withstand the shock and to continue delivering the services. What that means is that somebody here probably lost somebody to cancer because they didn't get diagnosed, or somebody else had a health complication that didn't get dealt with, or we missed a vaccine that makes us vulnerable to the next outbreak. We also know that our world shut down with COVID. We saw it, driven almost entirely by a desire to protect our economics, protect our national security. It wasn't motivated on a sense of shared humanity and community and protecting one another's lives. And I think in climate change, it's not going to respect borders. It's not as though greenhouse gases get to the edge of where they're burning in whatever state and say, I'm not crossing the state line, or I'm not crossing, we're connected. So we have to understand that our well-being is in this moment and that health is central to this, and that we have to think differently and not be driven by an economic bottom line in the same way, and not be driven by just sort of, am I going to get reelected, but really think about what our long-term survival is, because that's the fight that we are in today, is our survival.
Right.
And we can either sit down and accept it, or we can figure out, and this is where I'm relying on all of you as the solvers, is we can try to figure out what are the solutions to bring a different evidence to bear, to allow people to invest in the global public good, to allow people to invest in what is the moral right, but doing it in a way that everybody can understand how they benefit. And I think that is one of the challenges we face today, but a lesson that we can take from COVID without question. And I think just finally, the centrality of health is just being fundamental to everything we do.
Right.
Poor health drives migration, poor health drives, you lose your income on a household level, we lose our GDP. I think there's a very different way for us to think, and I think we have to choose that path right now.
Right. So if you had a magic wand, which one of the many, many things that need to happen would you pick?
I think we need really bold leadership right now. I think we need leadership that is willing to really have the courage to make the right decisions that are not expedient, that are not short term, but that are really invested in kind of a new way of multilateral collaboration, a new way of a value system that is really focused on health, education, and reducing equity gaps. And I think if we start there, it will blossom a lot of the other solutions and ability. But it's going to mean checking our ego at the door. It's going to mean asking some tough questions. It's going to mean partnering across sectors. And I think being willing to give a little to gain a lot.
Right. Not able to give a lot. Well, speaking of good leaders, though, luckily we have lots of them here. We're not yet running for office, but the Solve is all about supporting this early stage innovation. And you yourself are an innovator between creating the Peace Corps for healthcare and training thousands of, as you were saying, physicians and midwives and nurses in lower resource settings, and you're now in this newly created position. Like our solvers, you're working on these big, intractable problems, and all of these will take more than our lifetime to solve. So, what lessons can you offer to our innovators looking to drive change faster?
I think number one, unfortunately, it can't take more than our lifetime to really see some strong and powerful change. We don't have that time right now. And that's not pessimistic. That should be ambitious for all of us and actually optimistic, because I guarantee you we have the wherewithal and the brain power to solve this, and a lot of it is in this room. I think my advice would be, number one, there's no ego in this. This is really about a shared experience and about how we come together to collaborate. This can't be about competition. This can't be about my idea being better than yours. This has to be about how we all rise up to bring the right solutions forward. I think that we have to remain optimistic and be willing to put in the sweat equity. I've had a number of conversations with people wrestling over a really tough question, and I've had a lot of people tell me it can't be done or I'm thinking about it wrong, and I'm just going to keep talking to people until I solve what that is, right? Because if we don't solve some of these, if this tough question is solved, I think it could be really key to unlocking things. So I think the tenacity and the perseverance matters a lot. The humility to learn. Do not be afraid of failure. I have spent so long being afraid of failure, and all it did was keep me from asking questions, keep me from learning, keep me from following my gut and my authenticity into what I think was really critically important. And the times that I did have the courage to fail were the times that led to a pathway to training 42,000 healthcare workers through Seed Global Health over the last decade, or being able to build partnerships that are unprecedented but have the possibility to train a workforce for a continent in partnership with partners that are trying to think about these problems too. Most importantly, it has given me the ability to learn every day. I have an extraordinary team that I learn from, partners that teach me all the time why I'm wrong. And by doing that, then we can make the leaps across the kind of hurdles and problems. But I think it's about hope, it's about tenacity, it's about not having a fear of failure, and it's about kindness. We've got to be kind to each other in this world today, and we've got to be generous. It will go a long, long way. And if we can hold on to that, even at a time where we're really in turmoil, and a time where we're really at war with ourselves, with each other, I think we can solve a lot of problems.
Kindness, I'm going to hold on to that. Thank you so very much. That's all the time we have.
Thank you.
But we're going to wish you luck because we need you to succeed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.